But that's what the media like to do because Sophie had motion. So when you got motion, they want to mess up the floor of the ocean, baby. And I'm telling you right now, Sophie Cunningham is going to be great wherever she go if she do decide to leave or the Fever decide to not protect her. Now, just like I told y'all early on, man, there was reports coming out of Indy back in August that the Fever front office really wasn't feeling the Sophie Cunningham aura, I should say. The Sophie Cunningham love that was coming out. Her love for Caitlin Clark. They wasn't feeling that, man. Now, for whatever reason,
things are heating up around the Indiana Fever roster situation, and there is a lot to break down right now. The WNBA expansion draft is locked in for April 3rd, with a coin toss set for tomorrow to decide which new team picks first. And right on cue, Sophie Cunningham has found her way back into every conversation. Articles are dropping about Sophie left and right, and there is something worth pointing out here: she should not be carrying the entire weight of what the Fever are about to do with their roster. A lot of players are not going to survive this rebuild, and putting Sophie at the center of every criticism does not tell the full picture.
That, man. Now, for whatever reason, we all can look at the Indiana Fever with different sets of eyes and question different things that they do in regards to Caitlin Clark. But to question Sophie Cunningham authority and wanting to protect Caitlin Clark is beyond me, man. It's definitely beyond me, and it look a little spooky. Know what I mean? Now, let's talk about this article before we get into this basketball game that has just been released, man. Yeah, so the Indiana Fever will be giving us a bonus game. Oh,
the reason she keeps getting pulled into the spotlight is because she had energy, she had presence, and when someone like that makes waves, people tend to zero in on them. Wherever Sophie Cunningham ends up, she is going to make an impact. Early reports coming out of Indianapolis back in August suggested that the Fever front office had some discomfort with the level of loyalty Sophie was showing toward Caitlin Clark. That piece of the puzzle still raises a lot of eyebrows, and honestly, it should. Wanting to protect a teammate should not be a point of concern for any organization.
Indiana Fever will be giving us a bonus game. Oh, yes, we will get a bonus preseason game in Indy. The game is going down in Indy. Now, this is the article right here from Sports Illustrated. And it states, why Fever are unlikely to protect Sophie Cunningham in WNBA expansion draft. Whoa, bombshell. This is major for the Sophie Cunningham fans. Now, the article goes on to detail.
A Sports Illustrated piece just dropped with a pretty clear message: the Indiana Fever are unlikely to protect Sophie Cunningham in the expansion draft. The article lays out why it will be an emotional moment for the fan base. Sophie only had one season with the Fever, and injuries kept her off the floor for a stretch of games, but in the time she was out there, she built real connections with fans. The two biggest reasons were her energy off the bench, and the way she stepped up as a physical presence next to Caitlin Clark. That combination earned her serious respect across the women's basketball world.
The article goes on to details. It will be hard for Indiana Fever fans to part ways with Sophie Cunningham. Definitely will be, man. Damn. While the 29-year-old veteran only spent 2025 season with the Fever and missed a solid chunk of games with an injury, she did many things to endure herself to Indiana Fever's loyal fan base. Perhaps the two most important were being a spark plug and serving as a star guard, Caitlin Clark and Ford.
The expansion draft rules were announced on March 25th, and each team can shield 5 players. For Indiana, 4 of those spots are basically already decided: Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell. The debate sits around that 5th slot, where Sophie Cunningham and rookie Michaela Timpson are the two names being weighed against each other. There is also a rule complication making things trickier. Toronto and Portland can each only pick one upcoming unrestricted free agent from the entire pool, and with over 100 veterans hitting free agency, that limits how likely either team is to spend that slot on Sophie.
As a star guard, Caitlin Clark enforcer, which earned her notoriety from the women's basketball community and admiration from Fever fans. Now, we all remember what Sophie Cunningham did. That type of stuff could go left unsaid. Now, these are the reasons why Sports Illustrated believe the Indiana Fever will not be protecting Sophie Cunningham at all. At all.
On top of that, Indiana only has one core designation available for a veteran this offseason, and all signs point to that going to Kelsey Mitchell. So if an expansion team does select Sophie and offer her the veteran Supermax contract that comes with that pick, she would almost certainly take it because her earning options elsewhere are going to be narrow. Alongside all of this roster movement, the Fever organization also revealed a new addition to the 2026 preseason calendar. Indiana will host the Nigeria women's national team on Saturday, May 2nd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, with tip-off set for 7 p.m. Tickets go on sale to the general public on March 30th at 2 p.m., with early access for season ticket holders before that.
Protecting Sophie Cunningham at all. Goes on to say why Fever protecting Sophie Cunningham doesn't make sense. The rules for the upcoming WNBA expansion draft for the Toronto Tempo and the Portland Fire were revealed on March 25th, as expected teams will be allowed to protect 5 players. The first 4 players are obvious for the Indiana Fever: Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Lexi Hall, and Kelsey Mitchell. Most agree that the 5th option should be between Cunningham and Michaela Timpson.
Nigeria is currently ranked 8th in the world, which makes this a serious warm-up opportunity for the Fever heading into the regular season. This game joins 2 previously announced preseason matchups, one on April 25th against New York and another on April 20th against the Dallas Wings. Fan reaction to the Nigeria announcement has been enthusiastic, with a lot of excitement, particularly from supporters who follow the Nigerian national program closely. April 3rd is shaping up to be the most significant date on the near-term calendar for Fever fans. The expansion draft will start answering a lot of the roster questions that have been building all off-season, and the decisions made that day will set the tone for how Indiana moves into 2026.
Cunningham and Michaela Timpson, who was a rookie in 2025. However, a wrench in the expansion draft rules is that Toronto and Portland can only select one upcoming unrestricted free agent, and since there are over 100 veterans who will become free agents, this limits their options, bro. So, what does that mean? That means a lot. Goes on to say, also, note, is that the Fever can only give.
The New York Liberty are staring down one of the more complicated roster puzzles in recent WNBA memory, and the newly agreed-upon CBA is the reason why. The team built its identity around 3 players: Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Jonquil Jones. Strong trio on paper, but the financial reality of the new deal makes keeping all 3 together a genuine headache. Stewart is expected to land a Supermax contract.
A lot. Goes on to say, also, note, is that the Fever can only give one core destination to a veteran this offseason and will almost certainly use that on Mitchell. Therefore, if one of the 2 expansion teams were to use their pick on Sophie Cunningham and thus give the veteran Supermax contract, as per rules, she'll likely take that because she won't be able to get much from Fever or any other team during free agency. Now, this is a photo of Lexi Hall and Sophie Cunningham wearing matching outfits. Now, it's no secret that the team.
Ionescu likely isn't far behind. Jones is getting up there in age, but she still carries enough value that a high-dollar offer is almost certain to come her way. The problem? The math under the new salary structure simply does not support building around 3 elite-level contracts at once. The era of the WNBA Big 3 may already be over before it properly started.
Getting a Supermax deal. But you would assume that Sabrina and Jonquil will get a deal pretty close to a Supermax, at least Sabrina. Now, Jonquil, getting a little older, but you're going to think she's going to command a pretty high salary. And you see that CBA creates complicated path. I think what's happened here with this new salary cap,
what the league is trending toward now looks more like a dominant duo surrounded by capable role players filling out the rest of a roster. Here's where things get genuinely messy. The Supermax number jumped considerably under the new CBA, but the overall salary cap did not rise at the same rate. That gap is the core of the problem. Under the previous agreement, a Supermax deal was roughly 16.5% of a team's cap.
This new CBA it's pretty evident you can forget about having a big 3. All right? I think this is going to be a big two league with a bunch of character actors, right? Bunch of supporting cast. If you want solid supporting players on your team, but the math just doesn't work out to having a big three for your
Under the new structure, that figure climbs to 20%. One Supermax deal is already a significant cap commitment. 2 starts to squeeze everything else. 3 makes building a competitive supporting cast nearly impossible. The cap itself sits at $7 million, a major leap from the previous $1.5 million figure.
Out to having a big three for your WNBA roster now. And of course, that leads us back to the Fever that's facing the Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark situation. And Caitlin's not even to the Supermax level yet. But the fact that, and I think the Fever just thought, well, and that kind of tells you where they were at on the CBA. They thought they were signing Kelsey Mitchell. I think they're not so sure now. All right, I think they're not so sure.
But the Supermax rose proportionally faster, which means teams with multiple stars are caught in a tighter bind than the headline cap number suggests. Stewart previously signed for well below the Supermax ceiling, roughly 13.8% of the cap in her earlier deal. If that same percentage applied in 2026, her salary would come out to just under $968,000. Given everything she has contributed both on the court and in the CBA negotiation process itself, the idea of her accepting less than $1 million is unrealistic.
Not so sure now. All right, I think they're not so sure because I think the component they did not see coming and nobody saw coming was the WNBA throwing this epic clause in there that caused the 2 rookies, the rookie contracts, to escalate much higher than I think anybody thought they were going to go, particularly the Leah Boston aspect, where she can make up to $1.1 million. So let's take a look at this. Despite the looming
in 2025, she was already $40,000 below the Supermax. In 2026, the gap between what she earned and what the Supermax would offer balloons to over $430,000. If all 3 Liberty stars, Stewart, Ionescu, and Jones, each take home $1 million, that trio alone consumes nearly
certainty regarding a new collective bargaining agreement. Liberty General Manager Jonathan Kolb said last September that he had the utmost confidence Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Jonquel Jones would return in 2026. Now, with a tentative CBA in place, the pathway to bring back the Liberty's big 3 may be complicated, but not impossible. Each member of the Liberty Star Trio is eligible for a $1.4 million Supermax contract.
But the margins are razor thin, and any injury, underperformance, or free agency pivot throws the whole thing off. The Liberty situation mirrors what Indiana is quietly wrestling with as well. The Fever have their own version of this dilemma centered on Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, and Caitlin Clark. Clark hasn't hit Supermax eligibility yet, but the league's decision to significantly raise the rookie contract scale, particularly Boston's ceiling of $1.1 million, caught a lot of front offices off guard.
Contract. Given that the WNBA has a hard cap, though signing multiple players to Supermax deals is not feasible, heck, signing one Supermax contract will be tough for contending teams to swing. A challenge with the new collective bargaining agreement ratified Monday via unanimous vote by 90% of the Players Union members, but still pending the WNBA Board of Governors approval, is that the Supermax rose.
That was not a number most teams were budgeting around. Running the Fever's potential starting 5 through rough figures tells the story clearly. Clark at $1.4 million, Boston at $1.1 million, Mitchell at around $530,000, and 2 additional spots. That combination pushes the 5-player total to roughly $4.43 million out of a $7 million cap. That leaves very little room to build depth behind 5 starters, let alone account for any premium additions. Free agents like Lexi Hull and Sophie Cunningham add another layer to all of this.
Players Union members, but still pending the WNBA Board of Governors approval, is that the Supermax rose much more than the salary cap. Uh-oh. That's interesting. There will undoubtedly be a middle-class squeeze. And teams wanting to sign multiple stars will have to get creative in how they distribute their millions. A way to also make this work is by signing the trio to extended deals, giving them long-term security, and multiple sources have indicated that top free agents are seeking.
The assumption that either player re-signs for something near the league average is probably off base. Hull has shown enough to command somewhere in the $700,000 to $800,000 range. Cunningham, purely on name recognition and branding alone, is an attractive target for a team looking for immediate visibility, including one of the expansion franchises looking to build an identity quickly. The Chicago Sky are another team that could make a run at Mitchell, having lacked a reliable offensive spark ever since Kalea Copper left.
Multi-year deals. The salary cap is $7 million, up from $1.5 million last year. Meanwhile, the Supermax is a 20% cap hit. Man, that cap hit is rough. 20%. A significant jump from the previous CBA, where the Supermax accounted for roughly 16.5%. Also, teams are now required to carry 12 players. Yeah, but the two developmental.
Mitchell delivers exactly that, without the surrounding complexity. The roster math problem is not unique to Indiana or New York. It is a league-wide issue, now baked into the structure of the new agreement. Teams that want multiple star-caliber players will need to find creative contract structures, lean on multi-year deals to spread out commitments, and hope their younger pieces stay on cost-controlled contracts long enough to make the numbers work.